I would like to begin by addressing the heinous attack on the United States Capitol. Like all Americans, I am outraged by the violence, lawlessness, and mayhem. I immediately deployed the National Guard and federal law enforcement to secure the building and expel the intruders. America is and must always be a nation of law and order. The demonstrators who infiltrated the Capitol have defiled the seat of American democracy. To those who engaged in the acts of violence and destruction, you do not represent our country. And to those who broke the law, you will pay.
I'm going to do a bit of red versus blue. I haven't done that on this channel in a few years. And I'm going to do it because of what I see going on these days, and not really from the red and blue, but more so from the supporters. What I'm seeing, it reminds me of something I saw maybe 11 years ago, and I talked about it back then too. And I'll show you what that is later. Now, I'm looking at the supposed release of the January 6 tapes, and I say supposed release in the same way, you know how we'll see how some celebrity will get involved in a scandal of some kind, like an accidental release of a sex tape that will just so happen to come out when they're about to have a new album or a new book coming out.
But it turns out there's quite a bit of video you haven't seen. And that video tells a very different story about what happened on January 6th. More than 40,000 hours of surveillance footage from in and around the Capitol have been withheld from the public. And once you see the video, you'll understand why. Taken as a whole, the video record does not support the claim that January 6th was an insurrection. In fact, it demolishes that claim. And that's exactly why the Democratic Party and its allies in the media prevented you from seeing it. By controlling the images you were allowed to view from January 6th, they controlled how the public understood that day. They could lie about what happened, and you would never know the difference. Those lies had a purpose. They created a pretext for a federal crackdown on opponents of the Uniparty in Washington. The first thing you notice from viewing the full video record of January 6th is just how many people entered the Capitol building that day. Hundreds and hundreds of people, possibly thousands, over the course of about 2 hours. The crowd was enormous. They were peaceful, they were orderly and meek. These were not insurrectionists, they were sightseers. Footage from inside the Capitol overturns the story you've heard about January 6th. Protesters queue up in neat little lines. They give each other tours outside the Speaker's office. They take cheerful selfies and they smile. They're not destroying the Capitol. They obviously revere the Capitol. They're there because they believe the election was stolen from them. They believe in the system.
But I see the release of the video of the Capitol building, and I see the right cheering and doing victory laps as if their side has won something and the blue side has lost something. The right don't see it as that we're all losing and they're going to pay a heavy price for all of this. No, they don't see it that way. You saw Tucker and many others releasing clips where there was seemingly nothing sinister going on, with, you know, people just walking around looking harmless.
And at the center of it, the single most famous person arrested that day was a Navy veteran from Arizona called Jacob Chansley, often referred to as the QAnon shaman.
The so-called QAnon shaman.
QAnon shaman.
Someone named Q Shaman.
Jacob Chansley became the face of January 6th, a dangerous conspiracy theorist dressed in outlandish costume who led the violent insurrection to overthrow American democracy. For these crimes, Chansley was sentenced to nearly 4 years in prison, far more time than many violent criminals now receive. What did Jacob Chansley do to receive this punishment? To this day, there is dispute over how Chansley got into the Capitol building. But according to our review of the internal surveillance video, it is very clear what happened once he got inside. Virtually every moment of his time inside the Capitol was caught on tape. The tapes show that Capitol Police never stopped Jacob Chansley. They helped him. They acted as his tour guides. Here's video of Chansley in the Senate chamber. Capitol Police officers take him to multiple entrances and even try to open locked doors for him. We counted at least 9 officers who were within touching distance of unarmed Jacob Chansley. Not one of them even tried to slow him down.
I saw the shaman being tour guided through the place, and The right is using that to describe the entirety or the nature of what happened that day.
On January 6th, hundreds of Trump supporters stormed the Capitol complex. The insurrection was the worst breach of Capitol security since the War of 1812. The siege led to widespread vandalism. More than 50 police officers were injured and 5 people died. Rioters enter and begin pursuing a lone Capitol police officer, Eugene Goodman, up a staircase to the 2nd floor. They are nearing the chamber, which is filled with lawmakers. As the last lawmakers from the House floor leave at 2:42 p.m., the number of rioters grows around the House chamber. Some representatives remain in the House gallery. Officers move aside as a tactical unit is arriving, but the mob starts smashing the windows with flagpoles and helmets. Ashley Babbitt, a Trump supporter and Air Force veteran, tries to climb through the shattered door window. An officer fires a single shot.
Looking people of the right dead in their faces and feeding them comfort food. They don't see the setup by the right and the left. They see the exoneration of the right. Never mind the guy who told them to go down there in the first place. And he assured them that he'd be joining them shortly, but he never showed up. He never went down there with them. Right? And never mind that after they did the deed, he got on camera and said, you know what? All of y'all going to jail for what you did. Never mind that. The right just keeps saying it was the deep state left that set that up. Meanwhile, the only ones that's going to pay for the January 6th thing is us. And I don't know exactly what they're going to enact on us because of January 6th, but it won't be good. And nobody of great importance will pay the price. It'll just be us paying. And when I say people of great importance, I'm not saying that, that I see us as nothing. I mean, by great importance, I mean people who are high-profile figures that had a hand in the setup. Likely nothing is going to happen to them. We'll likely never even find out who they are. And I'm looking at the left. The left is the side that I've championed for. And I'm looking at the supposed release of the origins of the bug. The same stuff that was quickly categorized as only ideas that some right-wing QAnon tinfoil hat-wearing conspiracy theorists would have. The media, they've been doing this for the past year or so, where they've been slowly agreeing with what conspiracy theorists have been saying for going on 4 years. Almost point for point. Stuff that they've dismissed as crazy conspiracy theories. For the past year or so, they've been coming out with agreements. And what are the people of the left doing? What else are the people of the left doing?
Well, first of all, it's important to say that this hearing was a long time in coming. There has been a sort of political standoff and a scientific standoff around the question of origins. And so this is really one of the very first hearings that looked squarely at this issue. I think part of the Democratic reluctance to hold hearings on this is that the Republicans have really targeted Anthony Fauci. And so the entire debate has become really, unfortunately, politicized in a way that I think has been very counterproductive in exploring the very serious questions that exist.
Yeah, speaking on the politicization front, we've heard, I've seen kind of commentators in the media, in the mainstream media, who are now saying, okay, yes, the lab leak should be explored and investigated, but I was hesitant. They'll say that they were hesitant to open the door to that because of the perception that it was somehow tied to something Donald Trump thought, or that it was somehow the more racially problematic of the theories. I think that's that seemed like a knee-jerk kind of appraisal of those two theories to me anyway. It doesn't really make sense.
What?
You hid the origins because it's racist. That's probably the biggest and most largest race card that's ever been pulled on Earth right there. And yeah, Republicans, they've been targeting Fauci, Democrats in China. All of them are guilty, but Republicans are targeting them so vigorously so no one will see the Republicans' involvement in this mess. But I see the people of the left scrambling to excuse everything. Same thing they've been doing for 4 years concerning the bug and the cure. Right? And whoever listening, I don't call it the cure because I believe that it cures the bug or anything else. I have other reasons I call it the cure. But the left excuses itself as well.
And you've seen these clips before. It's not like you've never seen it before.
Yeah, what happened
They were wrong.
Hold on. So, the strain evolved, okay? And so then they would develop a subsequent, the booster and a subsequent mixture of the vaccine. This is what happens every year with a flu shot. They look at how the flu has evolved from one season to the next. And what's fortunate is...
That story you just told me is bullshit.
It evolved. That was Neil deGrasse, who is one of the main people being used to explain everything away. And I only played his response to the host showing him how deadly the cure is. 4 straight years of that. It evolved. Do you know that saying, it evolved? Do you know that they could never be proven wrong? Show them the cure don't work? No, the bug evolved. Hey, why do I have to keep taking all these cures? Because it evolved. All you have to do is just keep saying that, and they'll never be wrong. Never. It evolved. You're always right. Just say it. It evolved. Constituents of both parties refusing to acknowledge that both sides are the devil's spawn. And you folks listening who don't side with the right or the left, guess what? You're not out of this mess either. Not being on a side does not remove you from this mess that we're all in. You want to be out of this mess? Leave Earth.
Now, let me try this again. This is the prison. This is where everybody is. And you're not getting out.
That's enough red and blue talk for now. Our self-interest groups. On a few occasions, I've described self-interest groups as one of the things that'll be the death of us. The few, I'll call them, because of an animated movie I saw a few months ago called Dinner for the Few. Other names for the few are the elite, the 1%, the Illuminati, and so on and so on. Y'all know the people. Right? And I'll have that movie in the description box along with the other clips I'm going to use in this commentary. And listen, when you watch Dinner for the Few, you gotta stick around and see the part where the cat looks under the table. It happens maybe 3 minutes into the movie. But self-interest groups.
How will they achieve full surrogacy? Well, at first I thought the ultimate plan for the full surrogacy movement would involve birthing pods and artificial wombs to grow the children before they were assigned to their household by the state. You'll see articles like this popping up where there are like literal birthing pods. I kind of thought that was the plan, if I'm honest about it. Kind of like in Brave New World, again, it's like they grow the kids in the test tubes. That's how it works. By the way, conservative pro-lifers are all excited about these pods because they believe they will end abortion and save babies. If only they could understand what they'll really be used for. That was what I thought until last week. In November 2022, an article called Whole Body Gestational Donation was published in the Journal of Theoretical Medicine and Bioethics. And I know that someone in the chat was asking for the actual journal article. I'll show it to you on the screen. Here we go. And I will pop this in the chat if you want the real journal article. There you go. That is the link to that. Of course, you can also find the link on my Substack. And here is the abstract of this article. Whole body gestational donation offers an alternative means of gestation for prospective parents who wish to have children but cannot or prefer not to gestate. It seems plausible that some people would be prepared to consider donating their whole bodies for gestational purposes, just as some people donate parts of their bodies for organ donation. We already know that pregnancies can be successfully carried to term in brain-dead women. There is no obvious medical reason why initiating such pregnancies would not be possible. So excuse me. I saw a question come in before I started the stream of someone who basically said, well, is this just about like women who get into accidents while they're pregnant and then they go brain dead and then they have the baby? That's what this is about? No. No. That's not what this is about. This is about taking a brain dead body, and you're going to find out in a second, it doesn't even have to be a woman, taking a brain dead body of some sort, implanting an embryo in the brain dead body after they're brain dead, and then using the body to gestate the pregnancy. That's what this is. This isn't about like mothers who got pregnant and then got into an accident and went into a coma, having the kid that was already, I don't know, propagated inside of them. That's not what this is about at all. It is about purposefully inseminating a fucking living corpse. The author also posits that maybe even male bodies could be used to circumvent objections from feminists. I suggest the brainstem dead men would also have the potential to gestate, meaning that the pool of potential donors is further increased, and that certain feminist concerns might thus be assuaged. The prospect of male pregnancy is not, as many would imagine, fanciful or a piece of science fiction, so you don't even have to be a man to do this. Because they're totally fine with using male bodies to gestate the children. They think that implanting it on the liver would be particularly effective because of blood flow. And the reason that they're positing using male bodies is it won't piss off the feminists.
Using them as some inanimate object, like they're some, well, I don't know, like they're a flower pot or something that you just plant stuff in and watch it grow. And I've seen people look at stuff like this and call it misogyny. That's not no damn misogyny. But self-interest groups, they're still trying to make what's going on the earth all about themselves. They make any and everything misogyny because they have a innate and mandated desire to be the center of the universe. They refuse to see the disregard for humans as a species or the aspirations that the few have to designate all human beings as miscellaneous items. No, it's not all about females or women and girls. And I see the men's rights people saying that the few are targeting our boys and trying to emasculate and feminize men. which is true. But it's the same, which is true, the same as the few in their masculinization of females.
Disagree. Of course, she's the only woman on the circuit who goes to the bathroom standing up.
It's not about men and boys, because the few doesn't care about preserving male nor female. The few don't like humans, and they hate the concept of there being a God even more than they hate humans. I see the same thing with Christians. Oh, it's a war on Christianity. Hey, listen. Yeah, it is a war on Christianity. I see that. That's true. But it's also a war on all other religions as well. The few wants to rid the earth of all religions and then install their own.
Have time to debate?
Let's start over, shall we?
But we refuse to get over ourselves. And I only gave a few examples: political party, religion, and gender, and there are a lot more that I won't get into. But the things I'm seeing, our reactions to these things with selfishness and being self-centered, it reminded me of something I talked about maybe 10, 11 years ago, and it happened at Occupy Wall Street. Y'all remember that. And I've only brought it up twice in all these years. Today it'll be the third time. It's one of the most disturbing images I've ever seen. The few, and our reactions to what they do, they have good reason to respond to us this way. Up there toasting with champagne and taking pictures of the protesters without a worry in the world. And to be honest, if I were one of them, I wouldn't worry about us either, especially because in almost every way, we're just as self-centered as they are. And they know that they can use that against us. Now, why was that one of the most disturbing images I've ever seen? Well, that's because they have no real worries about what we might do to them. They have little to no concern about that. They're aware of our capabilities. They fear that. Yeah, they most definitely fear that. But they have little to no worry about us using our capabilities.